Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Astroneer series. Today we resume our action here on this lovely little moon. And I've got to start off by apologising. Launching your recording software by itself is not sufficient to actually record something. Yeah, I forgot to hit the record button. Anyway, I've just returned from a fairly lengthy rover expedition, and I'm just unloading the spoils of that trip. The big, bonus items that we got were those two medium-sized batteries that you can see. One is on the front of the tractor, and one of them is on the trailer. We did actually do a bit of mining while we're out and about. We got some more ammonium and we got a whole mess of resin because we've got some more expanding to do. So with that little update and that apology out of the way, I would like to suggest that you strap yourself in, pop your favourite and most comfortable spacesuit on, and let's see what other shenanigans we can get up to today. Now, the first area that we're working on upgrades for is the amount of space we have available for our power grid. Now, I did, where I found these batteries, I found something else that is going to be very, very, very useful in terms of power. Now, it wasn't an RTG. If we found another RTG, I think I would have fallen on the floor to have two on one moon. No, this was a wind generator. And no, it wasn't a small one, and it wasn't a medium one. I'll let you work out which other option there might be. And the problem is that those ones are huge. It won't fit on the tractor. And I didn't have a shrinker thing with me, a packager. I didn't have one of those with me to squish it down, but as it turns out, I wouldn't have had room on the rover anyway. So we will head out and capture that one a little bit later. So that will make a very nice add-on to our power grid. In the meantime, we're moving forward with a few other upgrades, the first of which is the chemistry lab. We do need that for some of the materials that we will be using to build our large rover. We're still a little way off being able to make the large rover, but I'm just gradually chipping away at the bits and pieces that we need to be able to do it. The chemistry lab, we need that to make rubber and silicon and things like that. We also are going to need an atmospheric condenser, and we will get that happening fairly soon as well. For the moment, though, we've jumped back on our tractor because the downside of having so much power is the science researches pretty much at full speed the entire time. Now, that is actually a really nice thing and simultaneously a really annoying thing because it means I chew through all the research samples a lot quicker, and my OCD brain just likes to have things ticking away in the background, and yeah, when stuff completes really quickly, it means I've got to be on the spot to get out there and collect some more samples on a more regular basis. So that is exactly what we're doing with the tractor on this particular trip. We're just running out there to grab a few of these, they're ugly pink looking things, but they're science samples that we can research. Now that we've grabbed a few, we're going to drop these back. We'll get those on the cook, so to speak, and then we'll move on with our next little exercise. Yes, and for all those Monty Python fans out there, the chemistry lab is the machine, the very expensive machine that goes ding. Yeah, anyway. We've got our plastic. We're now just making a bit of glass, and we've already got our iron already smelted up. So for the first time in this game, we are about to have ourselves an atmospheric condenser. Now, this one piece of kit is just the world's biggest power hog. It takes, while it's active, it takes 20 units of power. Yeah, let that sink in for a moment. Yeah, 20 units of power is what that atmospheric condenser sucks down while it's running, and it is not a fast thing. It takes a while. So I'm actually feeling very blessed that we found so much power grid stuff so quickly, because look, I'd have got a organic, to carbon to medium generator setup going if I hadn't, but it has saved me a huge amount of effort by not needing to do that just yet. Now, the first thing that we're going to set to task for this little fellow is we're going to get a whole bunch of methane, because we are going to be using it for a few different things. Once we're done with the methane, we'll switch over and grab whatever other gases we've got available. I think it's just hydrogen on this moon. And then we'll gather up a bunch of that, and we probably... once we've got a canister of each, we're probably just going to be leaving that thing off until we have a better use for it, which is probably the 12th of never. But anyway, I decided to spit out the XO request platform. Not entirely sure why. It was just an impulse thing, and it is super cheap on resources. So I thought, I'll spit one out just in case I get the urge, in case some event comes up and I decide I do want to participate. In the meantime, the gathering of the first bit of gas from the atmospheric condenser ticked off, and that completed the From Thin Air quest. And we have handed that and a few other things in. Now, the reward from the From Thin Air mission is this thing. It is a medium gas canister. And we're going to set this up now because I want it to get basically one of those full of methane at first. And then what I'll try and do is I'll try and see if I can make one for hydrogen, and I'll fill that up as well. We are going to end up using hydrogen a fair bit. More on that in a future episode. In fact, most of the gases do form some level of use. Argon, I think, is the next one that we're going to need, but we can't get that here. We're going to be going to Glacio, I think, is the argon one. God, I'm so rusty on the gases. I'm pretty sure it is Glacio that we have to go to, and we will be going to Glacio anyway because we need titanite so we can get titanium. We'll need that for some future upgrades, but for the moment, we're just going to stick with being here and finishing up our base, making our rover, and then we're going to do literally everything we can while we're still here on this moon, on Novus. And then, with any luck, we'll be in a position that we might be able to just package the rover and take it with us. But I'm a bit shaky on whether we're going to be able to achieve that or not. If we can, great. If we can't, then we'll be remaking the rover on each planet. And if we can make one here, we can pretty much make one anywhere. Now, we've reached the part of the episode where we still feel like there's a bit more out there that we need to be gathering. And I initially thought I was going to go out and pick up that, large windmill that's out there, or that large wind generator. But then I didn't quite head off in the right direction. So this ended up being a bit of an explore mission. This is why I didn't just set out on the tractor. I was actually intending to go and get the large wind turbine. But it actually kind of worked out for us because, as you can see on the horizon, there's another one of those gigantic, roof things. And there is a mission that we already have to gather the blueprint that we will find on this particular structure. So we're going to go off and do that. And then we're going to sort of head off a bit and back around more in the direction of where I think I left that wind turbine. Minor spoiler, we don't actually get there on this particular outing. But we do come across some very interesting stuff. More on that when it comes to hand. All right, and a couple of quick little things. These rose things, thanks Nixstar, left a comment on the previous Astroneer. Honestly, I'm on holiday at the moment, and one day is kind of blurring into the other. Sign of a good holiday, to be honest, but left a comment and told me, without sort of spoiling anything, and thanks for that, that the little rose things aren't for a Valentine's event, so I guess I won't be needing the bucket, thank you, and that they are actually for a later mission. So awesome. I look forward to discovering that in due course. Look, I may not acknowledge it very often, but I do definitely like to read the comments, and I'll usually respond in comments. I just 9 times out of 10 forget to say something in a video at an appropriate time. So, don't be afraid to leave any comments down below if you've got thoughts or suggestions. On the topic of thoughts and suggestions, and not Astroneer related, I'm looking at getting another Valheim series up and running, and I've just been putting out some polls on my community page on YouTube, just to get a sense of, all right, it's going to be, hardcore, but within that range, there are some variables that we can set one way or the other to, make it challenging, but perhaps in a different way. So I'm sort of posing some polls in an elimination kind of sense. First poll up was, do you want me to have a map or do you want me to have portals? The next poll I put up was, I can't believe it, I only posted it about a day ago. I've already forgotten what it was. But in essence, these polls are going to remain open until I actually start my series. So if you're interested in me commencing another Valheim series, you can help out by, popping in your vote. If you've got any other thoughts on that line, feel free to leave a comment on those threads as well. I'll take all that on board, and that will help me to, best tailor the new Valheim series to the people that are, interested in watching it. So, keep those comments coming. In the meantime, returning to the action here, we did see another one of those plants, and they're not quite as, I'll say, quick, I guess, as what I thought they were. They do this little, rattlesnakey kind of thing before they strike, and I was standing next to that one for a while, and it did its rattlesnakey thing, but nothing, I didn't really give it a chance to do any more than that. So they are a bit lethargic, so that's actually encouraging. Now, I don't know if they've always been like that and my memory is bad, and honestly, that's a pretty easy box to tick these days. or whether they've had a bit of a retune in more recent years. But yeah, they're I won't say they're warm and fuzzy, but they're definitely at the easier end of the spectrum from what I remembered. So that's always nice to find. Novus then is, I won't say a warm and fuzzy moon, but compared to some of the other environments that we're going to be encountering during our playthrough, it's still definitely at the friendlier end of the spectrum in terms of, yeah, the aggressive flora. Anyway, we're running into a few little issues here. We've run out of tethers, and we are trying to see what else we can gather. Now, if you look out there, you can see there is some graphite there, and graphite on Novus so far, at least for me, has been rather thin on the ground. So what we're doing here is we're trying to leverage our sort of the tethers that we did have, and trying to get over here as efficiently as we can so that we can mine as long as possible and have a fairly quick and assured return to our tether line before we run out of oxygen. So you can see our oxygen bottle there is starting to empty fairly quickly, but we still have our reserve in the backpack itself. So I should be able to fill up with graphite before it becomes critical. And yeah, we only got one more chunk to mine, and then we can leg it back to the tether line. I think I'd call this mission complete in terms of this little outing, and yeah, we can start heading back to base. We might grab a little science sample along the way, and yeah, the graphite is definitely going to come in handy. Even if you're not using it for packages, there is some of the later materials that you just end up using tons of graphite for. So yeah, well, I think we'll hang on to this stuff for a while. Alright, bit of a quick cut there. We went back to base, we dropped that science sample off and all of the graphite, and we immediately jumped into our tractor. We're now going to... I've figured out that this wind turbine is going to be too far away to be able to do a round trip on one supply of oxygen without making a bunch more oxygen tanks, and I mean that's just kind of a waste of resources. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up driving the tractor out there, and we're going to park the tractor where this turbine is. We'll probably pick up a few odds and sods, but then we will relay the turbine back to base on foot. And then the tractor, of course, it's always visible on our compass. And so that will give us the opportunity to run back out there and, you know, pick up the tractor without losing it. Now, this isn't the base, or the broken down base, where we found the wind turbine. Although I think from memory we got one of the two medium batteries from this location. I did pretty much loot everything from here on the first journey. However, I think there's still a science sample. There's the gravity globe on there as well. The gravity globe, I've got to say, unless you're prepared to make some roads, you're going to find the gravity globe is a little bit on the frustrating side on Novus. Just because it's so lumpy and bumpy here, it just gets stuck all the time. It's such an uneven surface that I just didn't even bother with the gravity globe. I just knew it was a complete waste of time. So we've got one here if we ever change our mind, but honestly, unless I'm prepared to make some super highways around this moon, I don't see much point in it. More so that, as I mentioned previously, the gravity globe's got no storage on it, and if I'm going to zip around somewhere without storage, I'd be a bit more focused on unlocking the hoverboard, which we will do at some point, but I I'm going to leave that one until later in the game because I like doing things a bit more hands-on like this, you know, with the rovers and with the tractor and whatnot. The hoverboard has its uses, but I'm not going to worry about it until we get further on. These earlier planets and moons are kind of easy enough already. I don't really need to be lugging around an extra piece of equipment on my backpack. I'd rather save that spot for the, the backup oxygen or the RTG or, more nuggets to mine, whatever it might be. Anyway, we've picked up a few odds and sods from that location. And now we're heading over to where the wind turbine is. And you can see it spinning around there in the background. Now, that isn't an extra large turbine. That's just a large one. The extra large is the model that's actually a debris thing. It's the really big thing in the background. You can actually unlock and make those if you want to. They produce an insane amount of power. And on a moon like or a planetary body like Novus where you've got high wind, it generates crazy amounts of power. But we're not going to worry about unlocking and making those. There's far more efficient ways of utilising the space and the resources. Not the least of which is, we just run around like we have been and pillage all of the ones that are already made. Much cheaper, much more efficient, and it lets us move on with the, in this case, Novus, without having to spend a lot of time gathering a lot of extra resources. So, hooray for that. Now, we're pretty much done with our gathering. We're just going to jump over here and have a bit of a look around. What I wanted to see, where we found that graphite was, I thought, fairly close to this location, but maybe it was on the other side of the mountain or something like that. So I was thinking it was closer, but it's not. We had a look around the mountain and it's definitely not here. So we're going to go ahead with our plan, which is to now run the wind turbine back to base. Yeah, you got to be a bit careful when you're doing this sort of a run with a big item. It won't let you carry it. It's like you're just clicking and moving it around with the cursor. But whenever you're holding it up, it slows you down to walking speed. So at walking speed, I was never going to be able to make it back to base. So you've just got to sort of throw it ahead of you a little bit and then run along and then throw it and then run along and then throw it. And you find that you cover the ground quickly enough. That said, though, it didn't have a lot of spare air by the time I got back to base, so that one was a little bit tight. Now, we're still out and about here, and we're still having a bit of a scout around. But this is where I thought, alright, where resin is just something I can't get enough of at the moment, because we use it, 3 at a time to make the platforms, and let alone any other potential uses for it. So I've just decided, look, there's a monster resin deposit here. We are just going to fill up on resin so that we hopefully have enough for the next, 5 minutes, 6 minutes maybe. We'll see how long it lasts for. Alright, we made it back to base with our huge load of resin. A couple of science samples to keep things ticking over. We decided to farm a little bit of organic there as well, just because I can see that, you know, things like rubber and plastic need organic either in the form of carbon or organic itself. So having a little bit handy is going to be useful. I know we can gather some around the base, but I'm sort of saving that. I just had enough room there for a little bit on the rover, and I thought, we'll grab some now and be done with it. Alright, so we're moving ahead with starting to make some more of the bits that we'll need for the rover. Now, we do need rubber, so we're cranking out not just one, we're cranking out a couple of rubbers here. Just in case. I have a feeling I'm going to have more uses for it than what I'm originally intending. And look, it's only a chunk of rubber here or there. I may just want to have some to take with me if we go to another planet. Alright, just checking in on our atmospheric condensing. We're pretty close to filling that canister. We've got 130 units out of the 150 maximum. I dropped a couple of organic there just to stop it filling up the side bit as well. As we look at the other bits that we're going to need for the rover, we've reached the end of the episode. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Until next time, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching and have an absolutely fantastic day.